So first off, I want to say
Thank you.
congratulations. What has this whole experience been like? Is this your first TIFF?
Oh no, I'm
Okay.
a Torontonian. I actually live here.
So you're here all the time.
Yes, no, I've been. TIFF has been kind of an old. It's like a second home for me because I've worked on a lot of Canadian films. I work on Sarah Polley's films a lot. I did Women Talking a few years ago, and Away from Her, and Take This All. So, as far as being a Toronto connect, like I have a huge connection to Toronto. So for me, I just love this festival, and I've seen it grow as it's happened. Like my wife even worked for the box office for a while. So to me, being on this side and having gone to school here, it's thrilling. So yeah, I love this place.
What is it that draws you to a project like this? Because obviously it is a very well-known book. Is there any stress when you're taking this on?
That's a good question. I've worked on a couple of adaptations as a cinematographer, and I find the best approach is the book as a material is a touchstone, but you almost have to reinvent it because it's a completely different medium. What you might have three chapters to kind of set the tone for a reader or an audience member, you might have one scene. Or so in a way, it's almost like you need to understand the core values of a story, but then you almost have to kind of reinvent it because how do I'm not shooting theater. It's like, it's a visual technical medium with people, and you have to make choices about lenses and lights and all that. Like the fact this film takes place in the 50s based on culture, it was important because you needed to represent people that were repressed in a lot of it, that couldn't express their true passions. And again, it's been called an unconventional love story that way because at the time, people didn't have the language like we do today. So, for me, that's what I wanted to capture visually and help Dan, our director, capture visually, and to set a stage for the actors where they forgot almost that we were making a film and having these beautiful kind of immediate scenes with Jacob and Diego. And how do you kind of melt everyone away and just let them do their thing? And to me, as technical as I can be, I just love the idea of setting that stage for the actors. So I hope that's kind of how they felt and how the audience feels, that they're actually there, that they don't feel like, oh, it's the 50s, I'm not there. There's this disconnect. And that's almost more challenging because I could have easily romanticized it to a point where you're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm part of this world. So how do you do that with 50 years in between, 70 years in between? So I really, appreciated that. But again, you have to put it within today's culture. So when you talk about the book, so many great things to be able to draw from. But then ultimately, Dan as a filmmaker was redoing this story, injecting his own personal experience in. That's why I needed to connect with him. And in a way, it's a much more palpable thing or achievable thing when you've got one human being. And Peter, our producer as well, and Molly, our other producer as well, that you distill it down to a few people and what they want to say with it. So yeah, I know it can feel daunting. I mean, Women Talking was the hardest film I had to do with Sarah, but again, in the same way, we had to be inspired but reinvent it. Yeah.
My last question for you. Music is obviously a huge part of film, and especially era films. What one song would you use to describe this film as a whole?
I think you know which one I'm going to say.
Let's hear it.
Invisible String
Yes.
by Taylor Swift. Jacob, it's funny, a lot of people have asked me about that. That's genius of him because it's exactly the mandate we had. How do you connect these characters? We're not in the same room. And that's exactly the mandate Dan gave to me. How do we connect them? How do we tell this unconventional love story? So that to me is the song.
I love that.
She's the modern folk hero of our time. Yes, I have because I have a 16-year-old daughter and she's introduced me to her wonderful music and I'm in.
Well,
100%.
congratulations on everything again.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.